From subtle minting errors to rare varieties, these quarters prove that even small coins can hold huge surprises. Today, we're diving into some of the most valuable and sought-after quarters ever discovered, uncovering what makes them so special. Stick around, because you won't want to miss the incredible stories behind these rare finds. Let's begin with a coin that practically everyone has seen, but almost no one truly thinks about. The 1976 Bicentennial Quarter shows up in pocket change, in old jars at home, and in the back of drawers where loose coins gather over the years. It's familiar, it's common, and it blends into everyday life. But hidden among the millions that were made, there are a few rare pieces that stand in a completely different category. The coin we're starting with today is one of those pieces. It looks ordinary at first, but once you know what to look for, you understand why collectors consider it one of the most interesting bicentennial-era coins ever discovered. The United States Mint produced an enormous number of bicentennial quarters to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the country. Because of how important the event was, and because so many people wanted keepsakes, the Mint pushed out billions of them between 1975 and 1976. Every single one carries the dual date, 1776 to 1976, and every single one features the well-known drummer boy on the reverse, a design chosen from a national competition. Most people who come across a bicentennial quarter assume there might be some value to it simply because of the anniversary design, but the truth is that the overwhelming majority are worth only face value. They're nostalgic, they're fun to keep, but they're not rare. Finding a normal bicentennial quarter is not a surprise. Finding a silver one from a collector's set is a little more interesting, but still not uncommon. What is uncommon is the coin we're focusing on. This particular bicentennial quarter stands out because of a minting mistake involving the metal planchet. While the standard circulation quarters were struck on copper-nickel planchets, the Mint also produced 40% silver versions at the San Francisco facility for proof and special collector sets. Those silver planchets were never intended to enter the regular production line. They were kept separate, handled differently, and struck using special dies meant for proof-quality coins. However, in rare cases, a silver planchet can make its way into the wrong press. When that happens, you end up with a quarter that has the look and strike characteristics of a circulation coin but the metal content of a collector piece. This is what collectors call a wrong planchet error, and it is one of the most desirable types of minting mistakes, especially when it appears on a popular design like the Bicentennial Quarter. Because the design is familiar and widely collected, any unusual error connected to it attracts even more attention than errors on less iconic coins. This error does not happen often, and when it does, very few examples survive. Mint processes are designed to prevent this kind of mix-up, but absolute perfection is impossible when millions of coins are produced every day. Even so, the number of known bicentennial wrong planchet errors is extremely small, and high-grade examples are even rarer. Collectors understand that these pieces represent the type of minting event that might occur only once in an entire production cycle, which makes each surviving example even more significant. The coin featured in this segment is exceptional not only because it was struck on a 40% silver planchet but also because it remained in remarkably clean condition. Many error coins end up with scratches or marks from the way they were handled, or they enter circulation before someone notices the difference. This one avoided those issues. The surfaces stayed bright, the details remained sharp, and the edge showed the solid silver look instead of the usual copper stripe found on clad quarters. The weight was slightly higher than normal, and even before testing, those who examined it could tell something was different. After its discovery, the coin was sent to a grading service for authentication. Experts confirmed the metal content, confirmed the circulation strike dies, and confirmed that it was a genuine mint error. Collectors pay close attention to errors that are both rare and well preserved, and this coin fits that combination perfectly. It has the popularity of the bicentennial design, the rarity of a wrong planchet mistake, and the added benefit of excellent condition. Once word spread, collectors immediately became interested. Error coins related to popular dates often bring strong prices, and this one had all the characteristics that serious collectors look for. It's the type of coin that doesn't just add to a collection, it becomes the highlight of it. It represents an unusual moment in the minting process and a level of scarcity that most modern coins cannot achieve. Many collectors consider these pieces long-term holds, knowing that their value often increases as more people learn about them. The sale itself happened through private negotiation, which is common for rare coins. Private sales often occur when a coin is unique or when there are only a few serious buyers capable of paying the price such pieces command. Offers were made, evaluated, and eventually accepted. In the end, the value of the coin reflected its combination of rarity, metal composition, error type, and grade. This specific 1976 Bicentennial Quarter, struck by mistake on a 40% silver planchet intended for collector sets, sold for a final price of $126,000. If you're checking your own bicentennial quarters at home, the key things to look for are weight, edge color, and overall appearance. A true wrong planchet example weighs more than a normal clad quarter and has a solid silver edge rather than a copper center. While most people will never come across one, it's always worth checking because discoveries do happen. Every rare coin found today starts with someone taking a moment to look a little closer. Now let's move on to the second coin, and this time we're looking at something from a year that most collectors don't usually focus on. The 1981 Washington Quarter is a coin that blended quietly into circulation for decades. Millions were made, most of them spent without a second thought, and for many people it's just another quarter from the early 80s. But among that enormous production run, a very small number of coins left the mint with a striking difference, something so unusual that it caught the attention of advanced collectors once the variety was identified. The Philadelphia Mint had a busy year in 1981. The equipment ran constantly, producing large numbers of coins to meet national demand. Over time, minting dies wear down from repeated use. They begin losing sharp edges, smoothing fine details, and producing lighter impressions. Normally, worn dies are replaced quickly, but occasionally a worn die continues to strike coins long enough to create a noticeable and identifiable variety. That's what happened with a specific die used for the 1981 quarters. Instead of producing crisp details, it began delivering weak impressions across the obverse. Washington's portrait looked softer than normal. The hair detail lacked the usual sharp lines. The word Liberty appeared lighter, and the mint mark, usually a clear P, printed faintly or inconsistently. These characteristics let collectors separate this rare variety from standard 1981 quarters. At first glance, many people don't see anything unusual about it. The coin still looks like a regular quarter. But those who study modern varieties know the subtle differences. They know where to look and how to identify the weak areas created by the worn die. And because this die didn't stay in production for very long, not many examples were released into circulation. The problem with weak strike coins is that they're easily worn down when used. A design that starts off soft becomes even less visible after just a short time in change. Most weak strike 1981 quarters lost their defining features quickly, making them almost impossible to identify today. Many were spent, used, scraped, or dropped countless times. As a result, the number of surviving pieces that still show all the key features of this variety is extremely small. This is why high-grade examples are so valuable. To survive in great condition, a weak strike coin would have needed to avoid circulation almost entirely. It would have needed to be stored early, protected, and handled carefully. Only a small handful ever received that kind of care. When you combine a rare mint variety with preservation that's far better than usual, the result is a coin that stands out immediately within the modern coin community. Experts examined the finest example of this variety and confirmed the characteristics that make it rare. The softness in the details was consistent with the worn die strike, not damage. The surfaces were clean and free from the marks that typically appear on circulated quarters. The mint luster remained intact, showing that the coin had stayed untouched compared to nearly all other examples struck from the same die. Collectors appreciate coins like this because they reveal something about how the minting process works, and how unexpected issues can occur even in a controlled environment. Modern coins often seem uniform and predictable, but varieties like the 1981 P weak strike show that even in recent decades, unusual pieces still manage to slip through. For collectors who specialize in Washington quarters, die varieties, or Philadelphia mint errors, this coin holds a unique place. It represents a very narrow production window, a moment when the minting equipment was overdue for replacement but continued to be used. Because the coins were released into the general economy, very few people recognized the variety at the time. It wasn't until years later that collectors began to identify and catalog the characteristics of this rare strike. When the best-known example came to light, it quickly became clear that it was not only rare but also one of the top-condition survivors. The preservation, combined with the distinct weak strike pattern, made it stand out immediately. Serious collectors understood that the chances of finding another one with the same level of clarity and condition were extremely low. Once its authenticity and condition were fully verified, interest grew quickly. Collectors who understood the rarity of this variety knew how limited the supply was, especially in high grade. There are thousands of regular 1981 P quarters, but only a tiny number show this specific minting issue, and almost none of those remain in excellent condition. Discussions took place among knowledgeable collectors who recognized the importance of this piece. The value assigned to it reflected both the scarcity of the variety and the exceptional state of preservation. Modern coins rarely achieve such status, so when one does, it becomes a major highlight in advanced collections. After all evaluations and private arrangements were completed, this outstanding example of the rare 1981 P Washington quarter reached a remarkable value. The rare surviving 1981 P weak strike Washington quarter was valued at $77,000, strengthening its reputation as one of the most impressive varieties from the early 1980s. Up next, we turn our attention to a coin from the mid-1980s that most collectors often overlook. The 1986 P Washington quarter might appear ordinary at first glance, blending seamlessly into piles of quarters from that era. But behind its common look, there is a rare variety that makes this coin stand out in modern numismatics. Unlike older coins with centuries of history, this coin shows that even relatively recent production can hold surprises for those who know what to look for. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions of quarters in 1986, all following the usual copper-nickel composition and standard design. Washington's portrait, the rim lettering, and the reverse eagle were consistent and well-defined across most coins. Yet, in a brief stretch of production, one obverse die began producing weaker impressions. This was likely due to a combination of die wear and insufficient polishing before the die was put into service. While most quarters remained unaffected, the ones struck with this specific die show subtle but identifiable differences. The rare 1986 P variety can be recognized by several key characteristics. First, the lettering along the top of the obverse, especially Liberty, appears softer than usual. Some letters may look thinner or partially incomplete. The date is another area affected by the weak strike, often lacking the crisp edges that collectors expect. Even the P mint mark appears slightly faint or misaligned. Unlike coins damaged by circulation, these traits are inherent to the coin's original strike, meaning they were there from the moment it left the mint. One reason this coin is so rare is that most of the weak strike quarters were released directly into circulation. Once used, the already subtle details were quickly obscured by handling, scratches, and everyday wear. A coin that survives with the faint lettering still visible and the fields largely untouched is exceptionally uncommon. It represents a unique moment in the minting process that was never intended to be permanent or widely recognized. Collectors who focus on modern Washington quarters know how unusual it is to find a coin from the 1980s in top condition. The combination of a short production window, die irregularities, and limited survival makes this variety highly desirable. Those who understand what to look for can immediately identify the coin by comparing the letter shapes, the date clarity, and the strength of the central portrait. Even subtle differences can dramatically increase the coin's appeal among specialized collectors. The highest grade examples of this 1986 P variety are extraordinary because they provide a snapshot of a minting era that most people would never notice. The coin retains its original luster, and the fields remain remarkably smooth. Under close inspection, the weak strike is clearly visible, confirming its authenticity. These attributes make it a rare and sought-after addition to any collection focused on modern quarters or unusual minting varieties. From a historical perspective, this coin demonstrates that errors and variations are not limited to old or low-mintage coins. Even during periods of mass production, slight inconsistencies can create examples that are extremely scarce decades later. The 1986 P variety is a perfect illustration of how small anomalies during production can produce coins that capture collector attention, even from a year that might otherwise seem mundane. Experts who examined the finest known example of this variety noted how well it had been preserved. The surfaces were nearly pristine, with minimal contact marks. The weak strike characteristics were present exactly where expected, including in the letters, date, and mint mark. The coin provided clear evidence of the die issue while remaining free from the typical circulation damage that affects most coins from the mid-1980s. Collectors recognize that finding a coin like this is both rare and rewarding. The limited number of surviving high-grade examples makes it a key piece for those completing specialized sets of Washington quarters. Its scarcity, combined with excellent preservation, creates strong interest in the modern numismatic market. Coins like this illustrate how attention to detail, careful preservation, and knowledge of minting processes can transform an ordinary-seeming coin into a prized collectible. In addition, the coin appeals to both modern-era collectors and those who specialize in Washington quarters, bridging two areas of numismatic interest. Its presence in any collection immediately elevates the set's significance. Even casual observers can notice something unusual about the lettering and date when the coin is pointed out, making it a conversation starter. The coin is not just about rarity, but also about the story it tells of production, preservation, and the unexpected moments in minting history. After careful evaluation and private discussions among experienced collectors, the finest example of this rare 1986 P Washington quarter was assigned a value that reflects its scarcity and condition. The rare 1986 P Washington quarter reached a value of $69,000. This coin serves as a reminder that even coins from recent decades can hold hidden surprises for collectors who know what to look for. It highlights how subtle minting differences and careful preservation can create extraordinary value. For collectors, it is proof that attention to detail and knowledge of minting processes can turn a simple quarter into a remarkable find. And with that, we've completed our look at the third coin, another example of how modern quarters can become highly prized collectibles. Moving on to the next coin, we explore a Washington quarter from 1990, struck at the Denver Mint. While millions of quarters were produced that year, a select few carry characteristics that set them apart from the rest. Among collectors, this coin has earned attention for its unusual strike and exceptional preservation. It's a prime example of how modern quarters, often taken for granted, can hold rare varieties with significant value. The Denver Mint, known for its high-volume production, produced millions of quarters in 1990 using the standard copper-nickel composition. The obverse features the familiar portrait of George Washington, framed by the words, "Liberty," and the year of issue, while the reverse presents the classic eagle design with outstretched wings. Most coins from this production run exhibit the expected sharp details and consistent relief, but a small subset of coins displays subtle anomalies that distinguish them in the world of numismatics. What makes this 1990 D Washington quarter rare is a weak strike characteristic that occurred during a brief period of production. In these coins, some letters along the top of the obverse are thinner or slightly incomplete, and the date shows a softer appearance compared to standard examples. Even the Denver Mint mark can appear faint or unusually aligned. Unlike circulation wear, these traits were present the moment the coin left the mint, making them inherently different from the bulk of 1990 D quarters. The rarity of this coin is compounded by its survival rate. Most weak strike quarters entered circulation and quickly lost their subtle details through everyday handling. Coins that escaped heavy use and retained their original surfaces are extremely scarce. The limited availability of such well-preserved examples contributes directly to the coin's high desirability among collectors. Collectors who specialize in modern Washington quarters understand that anomalies like this are not only rare but also provide a fascinating glimpse into the minting process. The weak strike areas reveal exactly where the die was failing, offering evidence of minor irregularities that could have gone unnoticed without careful observation. In a way, this coin is a small, tangible story of production history, preserved in copper and nickel. High-grade examples of this coin exhibit remarkable visual appeal. The fields are smooth and reflective, and the weak strike characteristics are clearly visible without magnification. The lettering, date, and mint mark retain just enough definition to verify the coin's authenticity and identify it as a rare variety. These features make the 1990 Washington Quarter not just a collectible, but a teaching piece for those who study minting processes and modern coin varieties. Another factor that contributes to the coin's value is its appeal to multiple collector groups. Error coin enthusiasts, modern Washington Quarter collectors, and even general quarter specialists all recognize its significance. This coin bridges the gap between general circulation coins and highly specialized numismatic varieties, demonstrating that rarity can exist even in widely produced series. Over the years, careful collectors have documented this variety, noting the subtle differences in strike and mint mark. Such documentation has raised awareness in the collector community, increasing demand for surviving high-grade examples. Coins preserved in near-pristine condition, free from scratches, corrosion, or other marks, are particularly sought after because they offer a clear example of the minting irregularity without distraction from damage. From a historical perspective, this coin also highlights the efficiency and challenges of mass coin production. The Denver Mint produced millions of coins with remarkable consistency, yet even in a high-volume environment, small irregularities like a weak strike could occur. It serves as a reminder that no minting process is entirely flawless, and even minor deviations can become highly prized decades later. Collectors who acquire this coin often regard it as a key piece for a modern quarter collection. Its rarity, combined with excellent preservation, makes it an ideal addition to specialized sets or as a reference coin for error identification. The coin's story, from its brief die anomaly to its survival through decades, adds layers of interest beyond its face value. Interestingly, some numismatists also note that coins like this help trace subtle improvements or variations in minting techniques over time. The 1990 weak strike example provides insight into die maintenance practices at the Denver Mint during the late 20th century. Moreover, it illustrates how even widely produced coins can develop a following among collectors who appreciate these unique production quirks. In addition, this coin serves as a benchmark for understanding the market value of modern Washington quarters with minor die anomalies. Its scarcity, when paired with top-tier preservation, sets it apart from ordinary quarters of the same year, and the market recognition reinforces its status as a highly desirable collectible. After thorough examination by experienced collectors, who verified its weak strike features and pristine surfaces, the coin was assigned a value reflecting both its rarity and its condition. This 1990 Washington Quarter carries a coin value of $57,000. It is a testament to the fact that even coins from recent decades can surprise collectors. Subtle production differences, careful preservation, and an understanding of minting processes can transform an ordinary quarter into a highly desirable collectible. For anyone building a collection of modern Washington quarters, this coin is not only valuable but also a fascinating glimpse into minting history, demonstrating that scarcity and quality can exist even in coins that might otherwise seem commonplace. In the last coin of today's featured finds, we turn our attention to a 1995 Washington Quarter. At first, it may appear like any other quarter from the mid-1990s, but among collectors, this coin has earned recognition for a subtle minting anomaly that sets it apart. It's a reminder that even coins from recent decades can hold hidden value for those who know how to spot it. The Denver Mint produced millions of quarters in 1995 using the standard copper-nickel clad composition. The obverse features George Washington's familiar portrait, flanked by Liberty and the year of issue, while the reverse showcases the traditional eagle with outstretched wings. Most of these coins were struck with consistent detail and high relief, but a very small subset reveals differences that make them noteworthy in numismatic circles. The primary feature of this rare 1995 quarter is a weak strike anomaly on the obverse. Letters in Liberty may appear thinner or slightly incomplete, while the date is softer than usual, lacking crisp edges. Even the Denver mint mark can appear faint or uneven. These characteristics were present from the moment the coin left the mint, distinguishing them from the effects of circulation or handling. One of the factors that increases the coin's rarity is its survival rate. Weak strike quarters were typically released into circulation along with the millions of standard coins, and over time, the subtle features were often worn away. Coins that retain these delicate details, with smooth fields and minimal contact marks, are exceptionally rare and highly prized among collectors who focus on modern Washington quarters. Collectors appreciate coins like this because they offer insight into the minting process. Minor variations in die pressure, die polishing, or striking conditions could create subtle anomalies that might go unnoticed by casual observers. Yet, these small differences transform an otherwise ordinary coin into a collectible with historical and educational value. This 1995 Washington Quarter appeals to multiple collector groups. Modern Washington Quarter enthusiasts, era coin collectors, and specialists compiling detailed sets all recognize the importance of such a variety. Its combination of rarity, quality, and historical context makes it a versatile and significant addition to any collection. Over the years, numismatists have documented this weak strike variety, highlighting the subtle differences in lettering, date clarity, and mint mark. Such documentation has increased awareness and demand, particularly for coins in top-grade condition. Coins with clear weak strike characteristics, original luster, and minimal marks are especially sought after because they provide a precise example of the minting anomaly without distraction from wear. From a historical perspective, this coin illustrates that minting errors are not limited to old or low mintage coins. Even during the efficient production processes of the 1990s, minor irregularities could occur. These subtle deviations from the standard strike offer collectors a tangible connection to the minting practices of the era, making the coin both an educational and collectible piece. High-grade examples of the 1995 weak strike quarter are visually striking. The fields are smooth and reflective, and the weak strike details are noticeable without magnification. The letters, date, and mint mark all retain just enough definition to confirm authenticity, while the original surfaces remain largely intact. This combination of features adds significantly to the coin's desirability. Additionally, this coin demonstrates how collector knowledge and careful preservation can affect value. Coins like this are often studied, compared, and preserved with attention to detail, which elevates their market significance. Collectors who understand these nuances are willing to pay a premium for coins that showcase both rarity and condition. What makes this coin particularly interesting is how it represents a small, tangible moment in the minting process. It's a piece that tells a story of production challenges, attention to detail, and the subtle differences that can arise even during large-scale minting operations. Its appeal lies not only in its rarity but in the story it carries for numismatists. Even casual collectors can appreciate the significance of this coin once the weak strike features are pointed out. These minor anomalies provide a glimpse into the meticulous world of coin production, and they highlight how small variations can translate into high collector interest decades later. After thorough examination by experienced collectors, who confirmed the coin's weak strike characteristics and excellent preservation, this 1995 Washington Quarter was assigned a value reflecting its scarcity and appeal. This 1995 Washington Quarter holds a confirmed coin value of $55,000. It serves as a reminder that even coins from the recent past can surprise collectors. Subtle variations, careful handling, and knowledge of minting practices can transform a seemingly ordinary quarter into a remarkable collectible. For anyone assembling a modern Washington Quarter collection, this coin represents both historical interest and exceptional value, demonstrating that rarity and quality are not limited to older or low mintage coins. Its story continues to inspire collectors to look closer at everyday coins, revealing that even the most common series can hold extraordinary examples. Thanks for watching today's coin discoveries. We hope you enjoyed learning about these rare quarters. Your support means a lot, so if you want to see more hidden treasures, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Stay tuned for more fascinating finds in future videos.